Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quickie and handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen. Andy's too much of a wimp to handicap the golf tournament, so he's not even on BetSports Golf. He's not even on here today. He's on vacation. So joining me, as always, on Tuesdays, Mr. Matthew Rooney. How was your Monday? How did it go?
Baseball wasn't very good. Didn't go well for us. But that's okay. Sometimes, like in baseball, you find yourself falling into a slump, and all you got to do is just keep swing your way out of it. And I think that's what we got to do today.
I hear it's a long
How'd our tennis
season.
bets go? It's a long season, but it's winding down. We only have a couple weeks left. But we do have day baseball today, which we'll get into. How did tennis go yesterday?
Tennis is pretty good. I think right around break even. Might have even given a little bit back, but things are all good. Still have our outrights living and stuff. And we got a bunch of US Open stuff to talk about. US Open qualifiers start today. If you live in New York City or can get to Flushing Meadows, there's free tennis today. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, all week. You can go to the qualifiers for free. It's a great experience. You'll see a bunch of tennis, a bunch of players who maybe you'll recognize some of the names, maybe not all of them, but guys playing hard, high quality players, and it's free. So you should probably go check it out.
Free is free. That's pretty nice. Can't really beat that deal.
Let's start with baseball again. Let's get you out of your slump. We're going to keep you early in the lineup. Let's get some swings in here. What do we got?
All right, so I'll start here with the earlier game, our day baseball game, because I know how much we love day baseball in the show. The Cardinals and Cubs have a day-night doubleheader. This one, the first game is going to be at 2:20 your time, Eastern time, 1:20 Central. It's Adam Wainwright, who has been the Cardinals ace for 20 years now, it seems like 20, 30 years, however long, as long as I've been alive, it feels like, going up against the Cubs and minor league call-up Javier Assad. So the -1.5 in the first half, which is the first 5 innings, plus 130. It's really just taking the pitching matchup for me. Assad's been fine in the minors this year, but he has been a little bit tended towards the walk. And if he puts people on base and gives Cardinals free passes, they're going to make him pay. Wainwright's just been really good all year. He's got an ERA in the low 3s, a whip in the low 1s. So I trust him against the bad Cubs lineup, and the Cardinals are playing really good baseball right now. They've won 8 in a row, and I think 9 out of their last 10, and they've been doing a really good job of beating up on the bad competition, which is exactly what the Cubs have been this year. They're a rebuilding team playing a lot of young pieces. So I like the Cardinals with their ace on the mound, minus the 1.5 in the first half at that juicy plus 130. Really like that number. And Mets and the Yankees, I'm going to take their over 8.5. First off, any over in Yankee Stadium is not a bad bet because that short porch out and right really keeps it alive, keeps things alive until the end of it. But we have a pitching matchup that I think leans towards the over. Frankie Montas, the former Oakland A, who's the Yankees deadline acquisition, is throwing for New York. I guess, they're both New York. He's throwing for the Yankees. And he's been just brutal since coming over from Oakland. He's allowed 6 earned runs in 2 of the 3 starts he's thrown. I think it's 14 runs allowed and 14 innings pitched over 3 starts. So he's been very bad. He's going up against the Mets lineup that's been very good all year. And then Taijuan Walker's thrown for the Mets. He's been solid this year, but the last few starts haven't been great. He's allowed it's like 16 earned runs over his last 5 starts across like 18 innings. And he just got hurt in his last start against the Braves. So obviously I think he's healthy enough to come back and start. But if he had to leave after 2 innings in his last start against the Braves, something to keep an eye on. You never know if he's going to be okay, how long he's going to be able to go. So 2 good lineups. Pitching matchup leans towards an over in an over stadium. Let's take the Yankees and the Mets over 8.5.
I can dig it. A lot going on in New York today. That's a big. I like that. I like.
It's a big day for New York.
Big day for.
Now, what do we got going on in Cleveland?
It's a lot. I'll sit back for a second. There's a whole bunch going on. We've got Cleveland. We've got Canada. We've even got some of those U.S. Open qualifiers. So I will try to rip.
Joakim Noah told me nobody likes going to Cleveland. There's tennis in Cleveland.
I like this. Remember the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's absolutely worth the trip. Now, there's not much else to do in Cleveland, but go check that out. Anyway, We've got some tennis. If you do happen to be in the Cleve or the land, I prefer the Cleve, but that's just me. 4 picks for us today, and we'll start with an underdog that's going to start here shortly after the show. The market has moved against me here, but I still like Sarah Sorribes Tormo, plus 125. I actually played this at plus 110 last night before I went to bed and woke up to see that the market likes Sastovich here. I guess I understand the support for her. She had some nice runs in the hard court season early on, but Tormo has quietly been very solid, continues to play good tennis. I have this match fairly even. Even Tormo a slight favorite, given how these courts look and the way Sasnovich's form was, honestly, in clay season and grass season, what we've seen from her lately. So the market here going against Sasnovich, but I like this matchup for Tormo quite a bit. Again, make her a small favorite. So plus anything was fine with me, and plus 125. Go ahead. You can grab a better number than me. Clara Towson, minus 105. This might be gone. I'm starting to see minus 110s, 115s. Would play us at minus 110 or better. Extremely talented youngster. Struggled with some injuries over the last couple months. Is an incredible player on hard courts. Really does well on this surface, whether it be fast, whether it be slow. Won a bunch of tournaments last year. I think 4 or 5, honestly, on hard courts now. Some at lower levels, but even I believe one at this level, the 250 level. So to have her as just a short favorite over Alizé Cornet, who is a nice, solid tour veteran, but not nearly as talented as Towson, and not going to be able to take advantage of mistakes that honestly she gets from some of the better players on tour. Towson generally a lot more solid. Sorona Kirstea, minus 105. She goes against Magda Linette. Similar handicap. Kirstea not as talented as Towson, but Magda Linette not as good as Alizé Cornet. Linette does perform well in some of these smaller events, but so does Kirstea. She continues to get better and better when she does play. I wish she was playing more often and had a little bit of better form, but looked good in her first match, and I think that form will carry over. Should have too much for Linette later today. And then a parlay. Arena Camelia Begu will play today, and then tomorrow we'll get Shuai Zhang, so a little carryover here. But like Begu's matchup against Sophia Kenin, would be nice to say something nice about the young American, a Grand Slam champion, but has just been totally lost for the last couple of years. Continues to get worse, and we'll be plucky in this match, but Begu will take advantage of her. And Shuai Zhang, we're going to keep betting on her as long as she wins. Should be easily the better player against Martina Trevisan. But that's all we have in Cleveland. And next up, we got some Canadian tennis. Just one bet in Canada and a couple for the U.S. Open qualifiers. As we look in Granby, which for some reason I keep wanting to say Narby, but it's Granby. Nuria Parisas Diaz goes against Harriet Dart. I'm going to continue to fade Harriet Dart, who continues to get support from what looks to me like a good grass season and some decent performances on faster hard courts, but I think it's not indicative of who she is as a player and kind of the overall sample that we've seen from her this year and so far in her career. So Parisas Diaz, someone we've backed quite a bit this year, has been a good player for us. I would like her at minus 110 or better. This started to tick out a little bit, but you should still be able to find that number out there. And then in the qualifiers, another woman I believe in, Jeannie Bouchard, one of the more talented players, although generally spends more time modeling on Instagram and kind of hanging out on the beach. Maybe I think this is her second match in like a year or so, something like that. But I thought showed a little bit of flashes in the last match, although she did lose for us. Just going to continue to play her as an underdog here against some of these less talented players, because I believe that at some point she's going to build up some form and get back to playing good tennis. Yuki Nato here she has today. I don't have this match, honestly, particularly close, even adjusting for what Bouchard has done in the last couple of years. So have her as the favorite here, plus 130. I'm happy to take that. And then another parlay, Katie Volnitz, and we're going to put her together with Linda Noskova. Again, 2 qualifiers. Volnitz generally does well and is kind of playing some nice tennis here in North America. Noskova, a young player who did really well for us when we were in hard courts earlier in the year. Put them together, you got plus 115. So a whole bunch of matches to bet today. And then, I guess we should bet.
You got my favorites parlays. That's all I could have asked for. You threw in a couple favorites parlays for me. I thank you for that. That's my favorite thing in tennis betting. Bet sports that I don't know quite as much about. I love it.
Absolutely, it's fun. Maybe I'll go through and smash them all together. Should probably do more than that. Maybe I'll go back and look. But yeah, you sort of put some stuff together. We got some dogs. I've had some baseball. We're going to keep you filled. A lot going on this afternoon, but the U.S. Open starts on Monday. That's why they're doing qualifying right now.
That would make sense. Usually you have to qualify before, and then after the qualifiers, the tournament starts. That's what I usually know tournaments to do.
So Monday we get started, and I think I want to get ahead here. The draw does not come out until Friday, and that does affect some things. I generally like to wait until after that, but a couple numbers here, and I've mentioned them kind of in passing here, some of the women's numbers, but on the men's side specifically, I'm getting involved here because it doesn't look like Novak Djokovic is going to be allowed into the country, especially the city of New York, unless there is some sort of big change in the rules or somebody hands down some sort of judgment that I haven't heard anybody working on. Novak's not coming. We saw this at the Australian Open. I don't think he's going to get kicked out of the United States for 5 years like he is from Australia. They're a little more stringent down there, but I think he's going to be out of this field. And as soon as he does, we're going to see all these numbers move, especially Daniel Medvedev here at plus 250. Now, this number moves probably in the neighborhood of plus 150, maybe even less than that. Again, if books kind of over adjust for how much money he'll get once Novak is out. But this number is going to be on the move. And although he's not playing fantastic tennis, I wonder a little bit if losing to Nadal at the Australian Open broke his brain. But best of five tennis, won this event last year, is really great on these courts. Give me Medvedev plus 250, and we'll have plenty of time to buy out if things look weird. And then a player who's coming back off an injury for about a year, Borna Coric, playing great tennis. He's about 35 to 1. Really love that number given what he's been doing the last couple of weeks and what we think of him overall as a player. Should do well at this tournament and, is finally in some good form here. And then Pablo Carreño Busta, who, although is Spanish, is better on hard courts than he is on clay. It's one of the common misnomers. For whatever reason, everybody thinks Spanish players are only good on clay, but they are several great hard court players. He's made the semifinals here twice. So at 80 to 1, I'm happy to take him. He's coming off a title victory in his previous tournament. Great form. That's a huge number. And then three women, I think I have mentioned these at various times. So double check. You might already have these, but Jessie Pegula, daughter of the Buffalo Bills owner here, 30 to 1. Love her. It generally builds toward this time of the year, is great on North American hard courts. 30 to 1. That should be somewhere in the 20s, maybe even the high teens. Veronika Kudermetova. We're getting some value here because she's never actually made it out of the first round of this tournament. The problem is every time she gets stuck with a top 10 player, plays a tough match and has to go home. Hopefully the draw will do us some favors. Is just have to play Iga Swiatek or Ashley Barty or something like that. Well, we know Barty's not going to be there, but I think she's in perfect form here, is going to play well in these courts. And Zheng Qinyan, the queen, we love her. She is going to be great. I'm going to keep betting her on these numbers until she wins a tournament or quits playing tennis. It's just, she has so much talent. She made a great run in Cincinnati, and I think is going to carry that over. Has a chance, I think, to maybe do what we saw Leylah Fernandez and Emma Raducanu do last year. It would be fantastic. So a bunch of U.S. Open outrights. We've got tennis today, tennis next week. It's tennis time, Matt.
So I know we talked about, I think it was the French Open. You said the best way to bet Iga Swiatek was to parlay her with other futures that you like. Is that something you might suggest doing with Medvedev maybe now before those odds drop to the plus 150 that you said? Maybe take a couple of his plus 250s and parlay him with maybe a college football future, an NFL future, or even like a game line you like, something like that? Worth a shot?
Never mind
maybe?
that. That's something I may or may not have already done.
Okay, I like that. I like how you I like the way you're talking right now.
Now let's talk a little college football. I love this mascot. I know Dad generally does a good job with the pictures on the back, but the Fresno State Bulldog is without a doubt. Look at that guy. He looks like he's having so much
It's a
fun.
fantastic logo.
So what are we doing here? What's happening with Fresno State? I assume it's the Bulldogs.
Tomorrow is win total Wednesday. So I'll have a straight up win total for there. So I was looking outside of just straight up win totals to see what, any college football futures that I possibly liked. And I came across conference win totals on DraftKings. I was scrolling through and I really wanted to go for a Fresno State bet. There was Mountain West futures or, to win 10 plus games. And then I found their conference win total at over 6.5. And it's at plus 150. I really, really like Fresno State this year. They're really talented coming back. They did lose their head coach, Kalen DeBoer, to Washington, but now it's Jeff Tedford taking over. And if you heard that name, he was the head coach at Cal for a while. He's been an offensive coordinator since then. Like he's a very capable head coach to take over and kind of right the ship. Jake Haener comes back after throwing just under 4,100 yards, threw 33 touchdowns last year. He's going to be a guy you hear when the draft rolls around in next spring. They bring back pretty much all their top receiving targets. Jalen Cropper, Josh Kelly. They bring in a transfer from Cal named Nico Remigio. He caught 97 passes throughout his career. Jordan Mims was their backup running back next year. I guess not backup, like second running back. He still rushed for over 700 yards, had 6 touchdowns. They're bringing back a loaded offense. I think 3 starters on the offensive line and a transfer in from Michigan State as well. They're loaded offensively. They bring back 7 starters on the defensive end from a unit that I think was under 350 yards a game and under 21 points a game last year, which is really solid. And the Mountain West schedule just isn't all that difficult. They have, 2 really tough, quote unquote, tough games that are probably going to make or break this bet. They go to Boise State in early October, and they have San Diego State at home at the end of October. I mean, if they can go 1-1 in those two games, I really, really like the over 6.5, them to be, 7-1 in conference. I did look at their win total, and they do have USC early on. They do have Oregon State, who they actually are better than, but it's a Power 5 opponent. And I didn't really love trying to go over the 9.5, 10 wins, because I don't really know what's going to happen in those games against Power 5s. I think they could beat both of those teams, but you just don't really know. And I thought the conference wins was a pretty clever way, a fun way to take a win total without having to worry about how they're going to perform against those Power 5 opponents. So I think Fresno State is going to be a really fun team to watch this year. It's going to be a very, very talented, high-flying offense and a defense that really isn't bad, that's going to be able to complement them pretty well.
I love this. This is a really fun market. Have you seen this in the past, or is this something fairly new?
I have the only place I saw this was DraftKings. I've been looking around, and it's the only of the major sports books that I've seen that has it. This one's a relatively new one for me. I'm sure it's been around, but I haven't done as deep of a dive into college football futures betting as I have this year. So I would bet that's been around for a little bit, but I found this and I loved it. I think that's I like taking out, like I said, the Power 5 opponent aspect of it. I don't want to have to worry about those two games. I just want to bet Fresno State straight up in the conference, and this is a way to do that.
Yeah, kudos to DraftKings. That's a fun market. I'm sure our sponsors at FanDuel are working on it right now. I'm sure it'll be up quickly there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hopefully more places copy. And since we're wrapping up here, do you have any thoughts? Who's going to win the golf?
I was bummed to see Will Zalatoris pull out of it. I thought, he was kind of going to be. I know Dan was saying too. I think he picked him in our work pool. I was really excited about throwing a little bit of a future on Willie Z, starting at 7 under with Scotty Scheffler starting at 10. I really liked it, but I don't know. Let's go with Patrick Cantlay. I mean, he's starting in the second position at 8 under. Scheffler's at 10. I don't know. He got hot, and when Cantlay gets hot, he's really, really good. He's been kind of up and down this year, but man, when he's on, he's as good as anybody, and he's coming off a win. So let's take him. Let's say he wins the Tour Championship, wins the FedEx Cup again this year.
Yeah, a smart buddy of ours in the deep.
Then we talk dynasty.
Ooh, that's true. But yeah, a smart friend of ours gave out Rory, I believe, and I hate Rory, so I'll probably bet on him just so if he wins, I make some money. It's like a weird emotional hedge.
Can I ask why you hate Rory?
I'm
genuinely interested, because everybody loves him. I don't hate him, but I also don't like. I'm not sure I totally understand the universal everybody loves Rory. He's the best. He's fine.
He's got an annoying face.
Necessarily,
he doesn't win nearly as much as I think people give him credit for. It's just, and it's been better this year. We'll see if he continues to play this well. But I feel like it's been almost a decade now. Just something we talk about. Oh, Rory. But
it really hasn't. The last major was 2014.
Right. So that's. I'm sick of this nonsense.
He got a whole bunch of credit for some runner-up finishes this year.
Finishing second pays a lot of money, but it doesn't cash me any outright. So very selfish.
That's a very good point.
We'll see. Thanks everybody for watching. Thumbs up, ratings, reviews, all that good stuff that Andy always asks you to do. Thanks to all our sponsors, and we'll see you tomorrow for a Win Total Wednesday.